pretty much any luxury automaker right now, their best seller is always their compact crossover, and Audi is no exception with their Q5 series. So this is a very important vehicle for Audi. They need to make sure they get this right. So for the 2021 model year, the entire Q5 family is getting refreshed. So you're going to have the base Q5, a new plug-in hybrid model for America. You're also going to have this, the sporty SQ5 model, and there will be sportback versions of the base Q5 and SQ5 model. I'm going to show you what this facelifted 2021 Audi SQ5 is all about. So let's start off with a walk around of the 2021 SQ5, because this is where things have changed the most here on this model. We've got a very new front end with this very trapezoidal grille here. I think it looks a lot better than the outgoing Q5 and SQ5. We've got these standard matrix LED headlights. They look gorgeous at night. They do some really cool lighting animations when you first start up the vehicle that just looks really great. White is not my favorite color. I didn't think I was gonna love this, but it does look really classy when finished in white here. I think the whole thing works really well. We do have optional wheels here. They're about $1,000 extra, 21 inches, and you get the red brake calipers as well. You even get a red little Audi Sport logo. I think the wheels really make this thing look very impressive, because this costs about the same as the Audi A6 Allroad I tested recently, although this looks way more sporty. I think it's those 21-inch wheels that are doing it for me. And back here, we've got a subtle refresh as well. We've got these new taillight designs. We've got our SQ5 badge letting people know that we have the sportier SQ5, and I really like these new quad exhaust tips. However, I must sadly point out that they are fakes. The real exhausts are hidden underneath. They've really gone through great length to make these look real. You can see they even have like the exterior part and then like the fake interior part that would be the real tailpipe, but no, they're fakes. The real ones are sadly hidden underneath. So let's hop inside the SQ5, where things are less different than the exterior, but it's still a pretty nice place to sit in here. Audi is always very good when it comes to interior materials. We've got really nice leather on the steering wheel, a very thin steering wheel. I do like thin steering wheels with perforations here on the side and nice paddle shifters as well. I do like that. You can control the virtual cockpit with the steering wheel controls here. So right now I have it with a big tachometer. You can make that a little bit smaller, and you can have your other information at the forefront, or you can get a full color map Google Earth view. That looks fantastic. I love the ability to have your map right in front of you instead of just on the screen, so you can control your radio stuff here, have your full screen map here, and you can make that a little bit smaller if you don't want it to be quite as large. Audi does that almost better than anybody. It's not as customizable as Mercedes makes it, but it is less confusing, so I do like that as well. We do have a head-up display on this car as well. Now over here we have a new touchscreen infotainment system. Audi is pretty much all done with its rotating knobs. Everything is now a touchscreen, just a single touchscreen, not a dual one like you get on some Audis. You sort of have these home ribbons here for your music, your phone, your maps, and things like that. We also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless on the Apple side on this screen, which is pretty easy to use. I'm really digging Audi's Touch MMI. It's very simple. It is very smartphone-like. You see how you have your sort of icons here, and you can adjust those and move those around if, for example, you're using one function more than the others. Now, we've got some optional packages here. So we have carbon fiber all through here. It looks really expensive, really nice carbon fiber here. We also have an upgraded leather package. So these seats, I have a love-hate relationship with them. They're very nicely bolstered. I love the color, the gray, and I love the quilted leather here with the little S logos. What I don't love is that this particular leather seat from Audi is not ventilated, so you can get heating on them but not ventilation. I live in Florida where it is always hot, so I would be a little bit annoyed not to have ventilation there. Audi says this is the same leather you actually get in like a Lamborghini Urus, though it does feel really nice, tough, and expensive, although it is definitely quite firm. Now, in terms of storage space, this is important here on a little crossover like this. We have a decent amount of places to put things. We have this little cutout here right by the volume knob. You could rest your phone there. We have kind of this big awkward space. I'm not really sure what you would do here. I have like a bunch of keys because I'm reviewing a bunch of vehicles this week, and they fit kind of perfectly right there, so that's been nice. And then you have this area right here. I don't know, maybe you could put like a garage door opener, although Audi has a built-in garage door opener, so chances are you're probably not going to need one of those anymore. Down here we have our shifter. It's one of these electronic deals, so you push this little trigger, put it in reverse, and we have, of course, very nice backup cameras there as well. We also do have some park assist, so this will parallel park itself. And down here we have our cup holders, which are obscured by a wireless charger. So the wireless charger positioning is actually quite cool here. You can put your phone right on it and then slide it back. It slides underneath the armrest here, revealing your cup holders, which are heated and cooled, which is something that I really like as well. So a very nice interior. I would say that Mercedes definitely does a more elegant interior. BMW does a little bit of a sporty interior. This is a little bit more plain, but very inoffensive. Back here in the second row, the Q5 and the SQ5 are pretty comfortable. We've got 38 inches of legroom, which is not bad, although we do have a hump here in the middle seat. We do have heated seats on either side. We have our own air vents, and we do have 2 charging ports, USBs with a 12 volt as well. And you can recline these seats a little bit. They don't go too far back, but it's not the most uncomfortable place to sit back here. Now, if you want the best cargo hauling capacity, unfortunately, the SQ5 is not going to be the best in the compact luxury segment. You do get a little bit more trunk space in the BMW X3, the Mercedes GLC as well, although this does beat out the Porsche Macan in terms of trunk space. We get just under 26 cubic feet of space back here, and you can fold the seats down to open up a little over 54 cubic feet. You can do that from the second row. There's handles back there to do it, or you can do it using these pulleys here in the trunk space, which is nice. Although, as you'll see, I just pulled both of them and they did not quite go flat, which means I'm going to be reaching quite ungracefully back there to make sure that they fold flat, which is a little bit annoying. Alright, so it's time to see how the SQ5 drives. Now, Audi says they have done a lot of calibrations to this automatic transmission to make this car quicker. They've dropped about 3/10 off the 0 to 60 time. It was about 5 seconds, a little over. Now it's 4.7 seconds. So, of course, we gotta see, when that's one of the Audi's bold claims is that they've made it faster. Let's go ahead and test that out. Foot on the brake, foot on the gas, all-wheel drive launch. Here we go. Very smooth power delivery. Pretty quick. It's a nice launch. That felt about 0 to 60 in maybe 4.7 if you want to be nitpicky here. Definitely does not feel like pin you back in your seat acceleration, but I suppose it's about on par with like the semi-sporty versions of other compact SUVs. Remember, this is an SQ5. Audi does not make an RSQ5, so there is no like really high performance version like you get from Mercedes AMG or the BMW M division. We've got the same engine as last year under the hood, a 3-liter single turbocharged V6 engine. It produces pretty strong numbers, 349 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, and that goes through an 8-speed conventional automatic that, as I mentioned, is recalibrated, and the launch control has also been recalibrated on this car. It's definitely more of a low-stress launch control. It doesn't like drop RPMs like really high and then let you go off. It's sort of more of a smooth thrust. We also have an available sport differential here. So the normal torque split, this is a quattro all-wheel drive system. It's going to send 40% of the engine's power to the front, 60% to the rear. Because we have the sport diff, it can adapt 100% of the torque from the left and right on the rear. So that's going to help you get around corners a little bit better. We also have the adaptive air ride suspension. So all SQ5 models do have an adaptive suspension system, but the air ride is really nice. We have it in its dynamic setting right now. You have the Audi Drive Select to change all sorts of things about the car, including the variable steering. We do have that as an option as well. The steering definitely tightens up significantly when you put it in that mode as well, as does the suspension, as does the throttle, and you do get a little bit more exhaust when you're in dynamic mode as well. It's not the best sounding motor. Like, I think that BMW's inline 6, which is pretty much the same engine you get in a Supra, does sound growlier than this, but I'm going to go ahead and put my foot down here. You can listen for yourself. It does do some pops on the downshifts at times. Not all the time, but it does do them. Now, I've driven the SQ5 years ago. This was like a couple years ago, and I just remember not really liking how it feels. I didn't think it was sporty enough to be called an S model. Now, this one, I think it definitely feels better. The steering is a little bit more precise. The ride is pretty good, like especially with the air suspension. But it doesn't feel like you're tipping over too much. I mean, this is a crossover. This is not a sedan. This is not an S4. And I feel pretty well in control of this for a compact SUV that's not an RS car. Now, I've driven the Audi A6 All-Road, which costs about the same amount as this, and I feel like that was just a little bit more comfortable than this, and that drove really well. But I guess for an S product, this is pretty good as well. You do pay a penalty in fuel economy though for having this much power. You only get 18 mpg in the city, 24 on the highway, and 20 combined. But there are other options within the Q family, the Q5 family, if you want something a little more fuel efficient. You've got the base Q5, which gets a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a mild hybrid assist. It gets a 13 horsepower bump over last year's model, so 261 HP, 273 pound-feet of torque. That's really good numbers when you compare that to like a GLC 300 or a BMW X3 30i, not the M40i that this would be compared against. And interestingly, Audi used to put dual clutches on their S models. Now the S models pretty much all have automatics, but the base Q5 gets a 7-speed dual clutch. That one's 5.7 seconds from 0 to 60, so about a full second slower than this, but the fuel economy is much better. 23 in the city, 28 on the highway, and 25 combined. Now, neither of those is the Q5 that I'm going to tell you to get. I think you should get the third option, the new PHEV model. It's called the 55 TFSI-E, and it gets the same engine as the base Q5, but paired with a large electric motor. So it develops 362 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. That's right, more power than the SQ5 and the same amount of torque. And that goes out through a 7-speed dual clutch, just like the base Q5. Now, that model is 5 seconds 0 to 60, so a little bit slower than the SQ5, but before they recalibrated this transmission and the launch control, the plug-in was actually quicker than the outgoing SQ5, and the fuel economy gains are substantial. You're going to get 43 mpg in the city, 64 mpg, mpg-E specifically because it's a plug-in, and 50 mpg-E combined. That's the best. I think that is the best combination of performance, comfort, and efficiency. This SQ5, it's sporty enough, but honestly, I like a sports car that's a little bit louder, that's a little bit growlier, and I think the BMW and Mercedes just do it a little bit better. So if I was going to buy a Q5, it would have a plug. So that was the 2021 Audi SQ5. Pricing starts at $52,900, although we have the Prestige trim with a whole lot of optional extras, the dynamic steering, the wheels, sport packages, and all of that stuff, bringing the as-tested price to about $72,000. Now, that is a lot of money to spend on a vehicle of this size, and in my opinion, I don't think that the SQ5 is the best of the bunch in terms of the sporty crossovers. I think you're better off with either the Mercedes GLC 43 or the BMW X3 M40i. I think those have better engines than what's in the SQ5, but if you like comfort, maybe the SQ5 is for you. Here's how I would do it. I would go for the Audi Q5 plug-in hybrid. You get actually more power than what you get in the SQ5, plus a 30-mile electric range. Plus, when you factor in the federal tax credit from the government, you're actually going to be paying less for that Q5 than the SQ5. It won't look as nice, but it will be almost as quick. slick, and it will be more efficient. So that's the one I would buy, because Audi is just really good at doing comfortable, well-stated things, but I think in terms of sport, the S models are just lacking a little bit of that passion found in some competitors. We really hope you've enjoyed this review of the 2021 Audi SQ5. For more videos like it, check out the rest of our channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. We also have the CarBuzz app on iOS and Android. That's where you can keep up with the latest and greatest in automotive news. And we also have a TikTok channel where you can see short, condensed versions of the videos we post here that are more digestible than what you'd get here. I hope you do all of those things that I just asked for. That would really help us out. But until next time, I'll see you later.